There are a few things in life you can count on: death, taxes, and NFL refs blowing calls. It's a tradition as old as the game itself, with jaw-dropping, game-changing blunders leaving fans with their heads in their hands or screaming at the TV. Technology has tried to step in, but somehow they can't seem to get it right. Over the years, we've seen the infamous Fail Mary, Tony Corrente's insane hip check on a player, and more. These are the 10 worst calls in NFL history. Starting our top 10 is a strange call involving Cassius Marsh. During a 2021 Monday Night Football game between the Bears and Steelers, Marsh sacked Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger on third down, theoretically giving Chicago the ball with 3:25 left in the third quarter, down by only 3. But as the teams left the field, a late flag for taunting was thrown, sparking confusion amongst everyone in the stadium, particularly Cassius Marsh, who had to defend himself to his coaches. On replay, there was absolutely no evidence of Marsh taunting, and the story only got more bizarre when footage was revealed of the referee who threw the flag apparently hip-checking Marsh as he ran back to the sidelines. That flag gave the Steelers a fresh set of downs, which they converted into a field goal in a game they'd win by 2 points. Between the hip check and the taunting call with zero evidence, it certainly appeared as if that referee, Tony Corrente, had a vendetta for Marsh in Chicago, and it very likely cost the Bears the game, dropping them to 3-6 instead of allowing them to improve to 4-5. Next, we have a bizarre non-call. In a 2013 Thanksgiving game between the Steelers and Ravens, Jacoby Jones broke free on a kickoff return with the Ravens leading 13-7 in the third quarter. A return touchdown would have pushed their lead to 13, but Jones didn't quite get to the end zone, thanks to very controversial circumstances. As Jones raced along the left sideline, Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin got a bit too close for comfort. He argues that he was innocently watching the play on the big screen, but he was clearly standing too close to the action, and he made things worse by taking one small step onto the field as Jones got closer before eventually moving away. This forced Jones slightly right and into the arms of a Steelers defender. Some argue that Jones would have been tackled regardless, but had he kept his line, he might have slipped through. Tomlin claimed innocence, stating that he thought the play was on the opposite sideline, but regardless of whether he was guilty or not, a flag should have been thrown. Thankfully for the Ravens, they won the game anyway, and Tomlin was hit with a $100,000 fine for his mistake, or interference, depending on who you support. What do you think? Was Tomlin guilty or innocent? For officiating blunder number 8 on our countdown, we head to AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys faced the Lions in a 2023 crucial late-season matchup with playoff seeding on the line. With just 23 seconds left, the Lions scored a touchdown to pull within 1 point and chose to attempt a 2-point conversion to win instead of tying with a field goal. The Lions, known for their aggression and creativity, lined up with Taylor Decker reporting as eligible. The play ran perfectly, with Decker slipping into the end zone and catching the game-winning pass from Jared Goff. However, amidst the celebrations, a flag was thrown and Taylor Decker was called for illegal touching, with the refs claiming Decker had not reported as eligible, mistaking him for teammate Dan Skipper. Both Decker and Skipper, along with another lineman, had approached the refs pre-snap, leading to the mix-up. Referee Brad Allen maintained post-game that it was Skipper who reported as eligible, while the Lions were adamant it was Decker. With no camera on the refs, it remains unclear, but the mishap cost the Lions, who ultimately lost 20-19. Afterward, the NFL advised teams to be crystal clear in reporting eligible players, highlighting the costly confusion in this critical play. Number 7 on our list is an infamous AFC wildcard round clash between the Titans and the Bills in the 1999 season. With only 16 seconds left on the clock, the Bills had taken a 1-point lead, leaving the Titans one final chance on the kickoff return, a moment that would produce one of the most famous desperation plays in NFL history. The Bills kicked high, and fullback Lorenzo Neal caught the ball at the 25-yard line, quickly handing it to tight end Frank Wycheck. Wycheck moved right, then abruptly stopped, flipped his hips, and sending a lateral pass to wide receiver Kevin Dyson on the left sideline. Dyson took off, sprinting 75 yards for the game-winning touchdown. It was a remarkable play. However, it was quickly shrouded in controversy as replay suggested the lateral pass might have actually gone forward, which would have been illegal. If officials had ruled it a forward pass, the play would have been dead, and Buffalo would have won. Instead, the refs let it stand, granting Tennessee the victory and drawing intense scrutiny from fans and the media. This play, later known as the Music City Miracle, remains one of the most debated moments in NFL history. Next up, we have the infamous Holy Roller, which took place during a 1978 game between the Oakland Raiders and San Diego Chargers. With 10 seconds left on the clock and the Raiders trailing by 14 points to 20, Raiders quarterback Ken Stabler took the snap and was quickly smothered by the Chargers defense. While taking evasive action, Stabler controversially fumbled the ball forwards before two other Raiders both tried to corral the ball before also fumbling it forward. Before you knew it, the ball was in the end zone, and the Raiders tight end Dave Casper finally managed to get a hold of it, resulting in a touchdown, which won them the game. Chargers fans and plenty of others in the NFL industry were outraged, claiming that all of the fumbles involved in the play were illegal, essentially deliberately batting the ball forward to get it into the end zone. On the day, the touchdown stood, and John Madden's Raiders won the game, with Raiders fans naming the Immaculate Deception. However, the fallout was immense, leading the NFL to introduce a new rule that stated that inside the final 2 minutes of each half, only the fumbling player can collect the ball and advance it forward. For incident number 5, we head to what has been dubbed the most poorly officiated Super Bowl in NFL history. The teams in question were the Seattle Seahawks and Pittsburgh Steelers, who battled it out in Super Bowl 40. Across the course of this game, the Seahawks suffered several very tough calls against them. First up, Seahawks wide receiver Darrell Jackson had a touchdown taken off the board because of an incredibly soft offensive pass interference call. Then, after denying Seattle's score, the refs gifted one to the Steelers by calling a touchdown on a play where Ben Roethlisberger looked to be short of the end zone. Then, in the fourth quarter, the Seahawks were trailing by just 4 and finally gaining some momentum. A dart was thrown by quarterback Hasselbeck to get them at first and goal from the 2-yard line, only for another flag to materialize. Instead of enjoying a very likely scoring situation, the Seahawks were moved back 10 yards for a very controversial holding penalty on right tackle Locklear. The replay showed no penalty, but the damage was done, with Seattle losing the opportunity to punch in a touchdown. This then led to an even bigger disaster for Seattle, with Hasselbeck throwing an interception later in that same drive. And to add insult to injury, another refereeing gaffe gifted Pittsburgh 15 more yards at the end of the play. This was called as an illegal low block by Hasselbeck on the return from his interception, but it should never have been called as he was tackling the ball carrier, for which you are allowed to go low. The Steelers went on to enjoy a comfortable victory, thanks to some help from the refs. At number 4 is the infamous Dez Bryant no-catch incident during the 2014 divisional round clash between the Cowboys and the Packers. With Dallas down 26-20 and only 4 minutes left, the Cowboys faced a crucial 4th and 2. Tony Romo spotted that he had Dez Bryant with one-on-one coverage on the left sideline, so despite needing just 2 yards to keep the drive alive, he put it up for his guy to make a play. Bryant leaped over the defender, securing the catch, and was marked down at the 1-yard line, setting Dallas up for a potential game-winning score. However, the Packers challenged the play, and under the NFL's then controversial catch rule, officials ruled Bryant had not maintained possession upon hitting the ground, overturning the call. Bryant and the Cowboys argued he had control and that the ball only shifted as he reached for the end zone, but the refs disagreed. Green Bay regained possession and ran out the clock for the win. In response to the uproar, the NFL revised its catch rule in 2018, specifying that a player must maintain control until after hitting the ground. The no-catch incident is still debated to this day, with Cowboy fans not letting it go lightly. Next, we have another very famous incident that rocked the footballing world. In the 2001 AFC divisional round, Al Davis's and John Gruden's Oakland Raiders were tackling the New England Patriots in blizzard-like weather. At the time, the NFL rules stated that any forward movement by the quarterback's arm, including that in which they are tucking the ball back into their body, would constitute a forward pass. This was known as the tuck rule, which meant that by the letter of the law, there was no fumble, and the Patriots' drive could continue. Of course, they capitalized on this immense change in fortunes, kicking the game-tying field goal with 30 seconds left on the clock before going on to win in overtime. Raiders fans were flabbergasted, arguing that it was as clear a fumble as could be, given Brady had no intention of passing the ball. Perhaps recognizing the controversy caused by the rule, NFL owners voted to abolish it in 2013 by 29 votes to 1. Unsurprisingly, the New England Patriots abstained from the vote. Even crazier, that league-altering moment gave way for Tom Brady to win a gazillion Super Bowls and become an owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. If you're enjoying this video, stick with the halftime show and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on future videos. Our penultimate refereeing blunder is the brilliantly named Fail Mary, taking place in a 2012 game between the Seattle Seahawks and Green Bay Packers at a time when replacement officials were being used due to a regular referee strike. With only 8 seconds left and the Seahawks trailing 12-7, Russell Wilson launched a last-second pass into the end zone, hoping for a miracle. Seahawks receiver Golden Tate and Packers cornerback M.D. Jennings both went up for the ball, each appearing to get a hand on it. As they wrestled for possession, confusion set in, with one ref signaling a touchback and the other a touchdown. The back judge indicated that he needed further investigation of the play before rendering a verdict, but thanks to the side judge indicating that he had found sufficient evidence of a simultaneous catch, the ruling on the field was officially a touchdown. Replays showed that Jennings appeared to have clearer control of the ball, yet the officials upheld the touchdown due to a lack of indisputable evidence to overturn it. The controversial call gave Seattle the lead, with no time left on the clock, finalizing a 14-12 win and triggering outrage among fans and analysts alike. The Fail Mary remains one of the most disputed rulings in NFL history and unsurprisingly acted as a catalyst to get the refs' strike sorted. This brings us to our final incident, the one that stands clear as the worst ref call in NFL history, which took place in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in the 2018 NFC Championship game. With under 2 minutes remaining in regulation, the home team, the New Orleans Saints, had driven into LA Rams territory with the score tied at 20 apiece. The Saints faced the 3rd and 10 that, if converted, would allow them to wind down the clock before scoring a game-winning field goal that would send them to the Super Bowl. It was a big play, but with Drew Brees under center, the Saints had a great chance. The ball was snapped and Saints receiver Tommy Lee Lewis sped from the backfield into the vacant space on the right sideline. Brees fired the ball in his direction, only for Lewis to be completely wiped out by Rams defensive back Nickell Robey-Coleman before he could even get his hands up to attempt the catch. It was the most obvious penalty seen all year, but no flag arrived. Robey-Coleman made no effort to play the ball, emphasized by the commentator pointing out that if he had tried to look for the ball, he would have easily intercepted it and gone back the other way for 6. Instead, Robey-Coleman sent Lewis flying, and you could see how he guiltily walked back onto the field expecting a flag. When no flag materialized, he ran off celebrating, knowing he had avoided a major disaster. Not only did this controversial play prevent New Orleans from winning the game there and then, but it gave LA enough time to score a game-tying field goal of their own before winning in overtime. The Saints were denied a Super Bowl appearance because of that non-call, and the fans made sure their frustration was heard in the stands. Bill Vinovich had to keep a low profile after that one. So that wraps up our top 10 worst referee calls in NFL history. Which do you think was the worst, and which would you add in? Let us know in the comments.